Welcome to week 2 at John Rosselli and our high performance mini market going on. We have 3 weeks of exciting events. We're in week 2. Joining me today are Gary and Adam Glant. They're going to talk to us today about performance fabrics, indoor-outdoor fabrics, and what differentiates the two, fun facts about them, and other qualities within the Glant line and other lines that we have here in John Rosselli. Hello, guys, and welcome.
Hi, Philip.
Hi there. Happy to be here.
And happy to see you and your beautiful bow tie.
Thank you. And who's that on your lap?
This is Gustav.
Oh,
We're
my
very
goodness.
happy to be introducing Gustav to the world. He's ready
Great.
for his close-up.
Well, welcome, Gustav, too. Glad to have you here. Guys, this is a great topic and perfect timing because on a daily basis this time of year, we have so many people coming into the showroom in search of performance and indoor-outdoor fabrics, as they do all year round, but this seems to be the hot time for everybody to do this. So we thought what perfect timing for us to showcase it here at Rosselli in New York and to call upon the experts to help us out in talking about it. So let's start with what differentiates performance fabric from indoor-outdoor?
We have been making Glant for 45 years. And from the very beginning, knowing that the way we wanted to make textiles was not going to be inexpensive. We were only going to use the best dyes, result in fabrics that are resistant to fading, the best yarns. I thought from the get-go, before I ever knew the word as it relates today, I wanted Glant to perform. And that was the terminology that we used 45 years ago and have continued to use. It is a word that has been gone through many evolutions, and there are many, many examples of what performance means in textiles, mostly having to do with durability and the fact that if people are going to be investing these dollars in these beautiful products, they're going to last. And it's going to be a good investment for them, as well as just a pleasure to have something beautiful in their residence, in their office, in their restaurant, in their hotel, on their yacht, in their private jet. All of those are meant to perform. And from the get-go, performance had to do with abrasion. And we only use the toughest abrasion testing on everything before we ever start doing color work on a texture to make sure that that product performs in a way that is going to give the end user something of great quality, great beauty, and something that will last as long as they want it to last.
So you have a number of different categories that kind of fall within the bucket of performance based on the definition. So as my dad was saying, you have the fabrics that aren't specifically labeled performance, but from an industry standpoint are meant to perform. And that is pretty much every single thing in our collection. I mean, obviously shears are in kind of a different category than that. Everything is meant to perform.
But they're meant to perform at the window, and that means that they're meant to perform in terms of sunlight hitting them, and that they are meant to last.
Right.
But then you have the other buckets, the ones that you specifically mentioned. Then you have indoor, outdoor, and you have specifically called out performance. And, there's been a lot of confusion in the industry about what that means. And different companies kind of use the term performance in different ways, which can be a bit confusing. Indoor, outdoor fabrics are intended to be able to be outside and water can run through them. Sometimes there's a misconception that water will be repelled by outdoor fabric. That is not the case. It means that they will dry, water will run through them and they will dry. And so that's why it's so important to have, the upholsterer be sure that the fill is also indoor, outdoor appropriate, and that anything used for the seams is also indoor, outdoor appropriate, because if anything isn't and water collects and stays, it can mildew from that point out. But if everything is indoor outdoor, water runs through it, it can dry on its own, it's easily cleanable, and it can be used in a number of different applications. And in fact, the vast majority of our indoor outdoor products are used indoor because they're so easily cleanable, they're inherently fade resistant. I mean, there are all these wonderful characteristics.
And they're abrasion resistant so that they endure.
Then there is the specific designation of performance. And this is what gets a little confusing. What performance really means is that there is inherent stain resistance in the product. So for instance, we have a category within Glant that's called Portavia Performance. And what that means is that all of the yarns before they are woven go through a pre-treatment process, an immersion process where the yarns receive a chemical treatment that makes them inherently stain resistant. And that is where any liquid will beat up on the surface and roll right off. And that is technically what the heading now performance means. And those are kind of the three main buckets. And wherever we specifically call out performance, we mean that inherent stain resistance. That being said, any product can receive after the fact treatment for stain resistance and get that same designation. And we don't like to build it into everything in our collection because that would just increase the cost for the end user, where sometimes that isn't wanted, that isn't needed. But any designer can ultimately put that onto the product. You have these buckets where it's, you know, meant to perform, and that's everything in our collection because we have such strict standards that we adhere to when we create something. We also have the indoor outdoor, and then we have specifically what we call out as performance. And then something else I know that has come up recently that Philip, that you mentioned, was another category of Trevira, which is another type of product that we have that is also meant to perform in a different way and has different characteristics. And Trevira, that is a special type of yarn that has inherent flame retardancy. And so you can't light a match to it, but it also has its own properties that make it suitable for performance in different ways. It has inherent fade resistance, it's incredibly durable. And so that's great for different applications as well from a performance standpoint, even though it doesn't have that inherent stain resistance, but you can always apply that after the fact.
Products that are like Trevira, those start out being a solution that has the chemicals built into the liquid of the solution. And then that solution is extruded through a process that's not unlike a pasta machine, putting it through different apertures to get the desired pasta you want. You also are putting that liquid through different extrusions and getting the desired yarn you want. And so that yarn has that chemical already just in its DNA. I wanted to start with just a couple of examples. Glant has about 2,000 items in its collection, beautifully displayed by Rosselli. Some very good examples are right to the left and right of Philip's handsome face. Some of the textures that have been very high performing, some examples, and I don't know if this reads real well, but this is an example of a gorgeous texture that Glant does called Angerwatt. Angerwatt is silk cotton linen, and it is a texture that goes beautifully in residential use, beautifully in commercial use. It is hand set warps made in Northern Italy in the mill that we own. Examples of these products that are beautifully made, wonderful backings that are already built into the construction. If we decide that something needs to be backed, we don't want the designer to have to be bothered with having it sent out to be backed. You can be absolutely assured that these are going to last. Everything in our collection has durability, including those two most recent categories that are confusing everybody.
Right, and I think that's why this is so important that we're talking about the differences, the benefits of using the performance and indoor-outdoor fabrics, or those that are high performing, which is also just as important in this 3-week event.
Using a wonderful high-end acrylic yarn that is made to our specifications out of that acrylic that is indoor and outdoor that looks exactly like many things in the rest of our collection. They just give people that added assurance that it is fade resistant, that it's easy to clean. Those yarns like the Trevira and like the acrylic, when they're done right and done in the beautiful way that Glant does them, they look very much like silk. These are a couple examples of some of those outdoors, and I'm showing some of these that are in our most recent collection, the Stockholm collection, which we introduced just a very few weeks ago, that are already showing in the Rosselli showroom.
You sort of covered both of the main topics that we were looking to cover, is sort of what differentiates the two titles that we're assigning, as well as adding another title in that most fabrics have high performance qualities in your collection, even though they're not falling in the indoor outdoor or the performance section. Can we touch a little more on the benefits of your outdoor, the ones that are strictly considered indoor outdoor? Gary was just pointing out the hand of them is so nice that even though they're labeled indoor outdoor, a lot of people are using them indoors. It's the hand of them that's important, and seeing that it's indoor outdoor throws another benefit in there.
Absolutely. I mean, as we mentioned before, one of the main benefits is fade resistant. So it's great by any windows, any space that's going to get a lot of sunlight. It's always nice to have that added assurance. Again, because of the properties of, water drying out, it's very easy to clean them. So a lot of people, whether or not they ever need to kind of utilize that benefit, they feel good knowing that what they have in their home is something that they can easily clean should they need it, whether or not they have, kids or pets or, whatever it may be, or it's a high traffic area and they just like knowing that that's something that they can call upon should they need it.
My last question for you guys is, do you have any stories you can share about how either you see designers using it moving forward, or historical stories that you can share to wrap us up here today?
I have one in mind that I wanted to tell you about that makes me laugh. That is exactly the theme of today's talk, but also just something that comes up all the time for us. And actually, just like for instance, came up earlier this week when I was talking to a designer in Southern California. An end user has a fabric that is in their home. It's in front of windows. No product ever, no matter what is said about it, about fade resistance, depending on where you are over years and years and years, nothing is 100% fade resistant.
Sure.
And even with the highest quality dyes, if something is in front of the sun for 20 years, it will fade, slightly at least. But where that is an issue, and where it's then been subbed with something like an outdoor that has inherent fade resistance or a Trevira, we hear all the time that solved the issue. And that is always such a successful thing to hear and a wonderful thing to hear.
Definitely.
But a story that always makes me laugh when I think about it, that is exactly the confusion we're talking about today between performance and what it really means to be indoor outdoor. I remember being on a call. My dad was with me with one of our showrooms in Asia showing product, and it was to a large design firm, and they had invited about 30 of their designers to come, have us show the new collection, and we had outdoor in the collection. And again, outdoor does not mean that it repels liquid. It means that liquid goes through it and it dries out. And who we were with did not quite understand that distinction. And in front of all of these designers, and we were showing a new outdoor fabric, said, "And look what it can do," and grabbed his coffee and poured it right over the sample. And it immediately, of course, absorbed the coffee. And, he went, "Oh, oh my God, what's going on?" And so we said, "Wait 1 second." And we grabbed the fabric, and we ran to the kitchen sink in the design office, and we turned on the water, and all the coffee came out of the water because the water can go right through the outdoor. And we brought it back and said, "And that is outdoor, and now this will dry." But that goes right to the point that people sometimes misconstrue that that's going to mean water just beads up, but that is more of a stain resistance, not actually what it means to be outdoor.
Perfect. That's great. That's a perfect story. I love that. And this has been great. God, you guys have given us so much useful information. And I think designers are definitely going to benefit from all this that you've shared today, enhancing the knowledge that we have of all of your fabrics and all the other partners that offer both performance and indoor outdoor. Thank you to you both for spending time with me today. And I hope the rest of your day goes well. And look forward to seeing lots of designers here during our 3-week event for high performance fabric at John Rosselli in New York. Adam
Always
and Gary, have a great day.
You
You
too,
too.
Philip.
Bye-bye.
Gustav sends his regards.
Okay, bye, Gustav.